So I have a number of reasons why I really wanted to make this video right now. First and foremost, I really do love these cards and I use them in every in-person D&D game that I run. They streamline the game and my players always look absolutely amazed when I hand them their spell cards for a session. Second, it's the holiday season, and if you're looking for gifts, I think these are great. You can go in together as a group to get a discounted bundle, or you can just get a deck to give your game master so that you can then use them in your game. And they're on sale right now for the holidays. Third, there are some brand new decks out now, including Townsfolk, Conditions, and Illusions, plus some brand new custom spells from Humblewood and Heckna that you can add to your regular games, and I want to show you what those are all about. Fourth, of course, Hit Point Press has been our primary sponsor for years and years and years, since before we had even 1,000 subscribers. And I should throw them a little bit of love from time to time. But my main reason for making this video right now, and this is just between you and me, is that every time I'm on Facebook or Instagram these days, I come across a Hit Point Press ad that features the last video I made about these cards quite a few years ago, and I do not want me or you to have to see that video. Say what you will about my little channel here, but I think I do a much better job presenting than I did in the early days. So I'm really hoping that if Hit Point Press really wants some Gallant Goblin content for their ads, maybe they'll grab some clips from this video instead, and then we can put that other video to bed. I will link that video up there in the eye if you really want to see it, but you really don't have to. But yes, today, let's take a look at all the animated deck of mini decks from Hit Point Press. First, all the cards we're about to look at are tarot-sized, so 70 by 120 millimeters or 2.75 by 4.75 inches. They fit in standard tarot sleeves, if you like to sleeve your cards. They each include 8 frames of lenticular animation, which means that the image changes depending on your viewing angle. And the cards are relatively waterproof. I wouldn't go swimming with them, but if you do spill a drink on them, they should be okay. The base price for all the decks is $29.99 a deck. I think all the decks are available in bundles as well, which we'll talk about a little bit later, which lowers their price. And some decks have imperfect versions, which were like cut imprecisely or have other minor errors. And when those are available, you can get them for $10 each. Now let's tackle the new decks first, starting with one that every game master can make use of, the deck of mini animated conditions. There are 15 standard conditions in 5e, and this deck includes 2 copies for each, for a total of 30 cards. So you get blinded, charmed, deafened, exhaustion, frightened, grappled, incapacitated, invisible, paralyzed, petrified, poisoned, prone, restrained, stunned, and unconscious. The fronts of the cards obviously feature the animations, and the backs include the gameplay details that you need to remember. For the less complicated conditions, you also get a static version of the art and a little bit of flavor text. These are obviously useful to remind your players that they have conditions and what those conditions mean, and I think it also takes the sting out of getting a condition a little bit. You may be poisoned, but here's a fun little card to play with. I think one deck is generally sufficient for a game table, but if you really want to make sure that you have 4 copies of each condition so that no one ever feels left out in a 4-player game, you can always pick up a second deck, and there are $10 imperfect decks available right now. Next up is the deck of mini animated Townsfolk. This deck has 30 unique cards to represent various folks that your party may meet in their adventures. Now, these are designed to be random NPCs and not necessarily mission-critical, predefined characters from any particular adventure. On the back of each card, you get a list of suggested names that you can use for the character, a D6 table of possible traits to inspire the NPC's personality, a D4 table with details about the character or their primary location, and finally some suggested stat blocks that you can find in the free basic 5e rules if things do come to blows. For example, I might pull the Ancient Wizard. Using the information on the back, we'll say that his name is Bertimus, and he is a cranky old man who drives a rickety old wagon pulled by 2 giant goats. As for the 30 cards, you get the Ancient Wizard here, and an alchemist, a brawler, a musician, a champion, a tinkerer, a hunter, a dancer, transmuter, brewmaster, tailor, sailor, tavern owner, merchant, monster worshiper, herbalist, occultist, scholar, builder, baker, acrobat, treasure hunter, priestess, miner, carpenter, blacksmith, bounty hunter, healer, city watch, and warrior. It is a fun deck to use when your party seeks out a particular kind of person and you don't have anything prepared. The card gives you some fun ideas, and the art can help inspire your roleplay. You may just end up creating an impromptu character who ends up becoming integral to your story. This is another deck that currently has an imperfect version available for $10. The other new deck is the Deck of Illusions, which is an in-game uncommon wondrous item from the basic rules. The in-game item comes with 34 cards. A character draws a card at random and throws it on the ground within 30 feet of themselves, and an illusion of whatever creature they drew just pops up from the card. It looks and behaves like the real creature, and you can even move it around with an action, but of course it is an illusion, so if anyone tries to touch it, they're just gonna move right through it. So it's primarily used as a distraction. So with this physical deck, you can have your players draw random cards in person at the table, which is just a lot of silly fun. And the deck won't cause mass havoc in your games like a deck of many things might. The backs of these cards are all standardized so that they can draw randomly, and the art style is really unique with some interesting new takes on some common foes. But if you do want to bring in the Deck of Many Things, they also have you covered. This 23 card deck contains all the cards from the Deck of Many Things, and you can find the rules and the basic rules on the website, plus a card for the Avatar of Death, which also includes its stats on the back. It comes with a little booklet to remind you of the effects of each card, and remember that these cards can have a big impact on your campaign. Killing characters, down-leveling them, giving them a wish spell or 3. Definitely look through the deck and remove anything that you think would be too disruptive before you hand the deck to your players. It is a big year for the Deck of Many Things. We have the official box set from Wizards of the Coast. I've been reading through it, and I'm going to give you my review here soon. The official set has been delayed until January, I think, so they can work out some quality control issues on the cards themselves, but I'll give you my take before then. And Hit Point recently had a Kickstarter for their own new versions of the deck. I got 2 of them right here, the Fable Makers version, and that comes with a guidebook as well. Here you can see some examples of the cards here next to each other. You can also sort out for yourself which design you prefer, but you definitely have some options for physical versions of the Deck of Many Things these days, and plenty of guidance on how you can best use it in your campaign. And finally, we have the Deck of Many Animated Spells, the Classic. And as you can see, there are a lot of these. Here are some of them on my table. To be specific, we have a deck of cantrips, 2 decks each of level 1, 2, and 3 spells, and then single decks for levels 4 through 9. So 13 decks total to cover, I think, all the spells in the basic rules. Some of the longer spells are split across 2 cards, in which case you get 2 unique animations on 2 different cards. For example, Astral Projection here has these 2 cards. The front of the cards gives you the animation, of course, plus the name of the spell level and the school, the casting time, the range, the components, and the duration. The same information is on the back of the card, plus the spell description, and at the bottom, which classes can cast that particular spell. Do be aware that some of the cards here still have the protective film on them that you're looking at, so they may appear a little bit shinier than the other cards, and the blacks on them may not look quite as black as they do in real life. Now, most of the decks come with around 30 cards, and sometimes there aren't 30 spells available to fill those slots, so the remaining cards are what they call Spellcraft cards. They include unique animations on one side and a blank spell template on the back to write in your own spell details. Now, legally, they're only allowed to use the official D&D spells that are in the basic rules, nothing from other sources like Xanathar's Guide to Everything. So if there are spells from those sources that you want cards for, you can try to find a good Spellcraft card to match. You can, of course, also write in your own homebrew spells, or ones from Cobalt Press, or from your creative friend Samantha, who writes a new spell every day for Instagram. I recommend sleeving your cards and then writing the spell details on the sleeve so that you can reuse the cards for different spells in the future without the risk of staining your real cards, but it's up to you. As we go through the various decks here, be on the lookout for the Spellcraft cards that suit your needs best. They also have 2 decks that are just Spellcraft cards. We've taken it upon ourselves to write spells for these that you can use. We're publishing them on our website at gallantgoblin.com/spellcraft. You can download them for free, print them out at home, and then sleeve them together with your cards to introduce a whole new set of spells for your game. And Grady and I are Gold Annie award-winning adventure writers, so I consider us qualified to write fun, balanced spells for you. So far, we've got about halfway through the Spellcraft Volume 1 deck, and we're going to get them all eventually. Getting a full collection of animated spell cards can be pretty expensive. There are a few ways to help mitigate those costs. First, they do have those bundles available. You can get the first 10 decks, which covers cantrips all the way up to 5th level spells, for $239. It also comes with a deck of many things. That'll take you up to 10th level, which is further than a lot of campaigns ever get. You can also just pick up the decks as your table levels up. They don't currently sell the decks by class, which has been something that folks have been requesting for a long time. That would be a very cool idea. I'd also love to see them get a contract with Wizards of the Coast to make some cards from those other licensed spells, but we'll have to wait and see about that. I've purchased all the decks myself, and I just create little baggies of cards for each of my players each time they come over. Hitpoint also sells tarot sleeves and card binders for you to build your own little spell book if putting the cards into baggies isn't cool enough for you. And finally, they have some game-specific animated spell decks as well. Here we have the Humblewood spells, volumes 1 and 2. Humblewood is still one of my absolutely favorite 5e campaigns, and if you haven't tried it out, I recommend picking up their Imperfect Humblewood hardcover book, which is just $10. It's an absolute steal. You can also get the Imperfect box set for just $40. And here's an interesting thing. You don't have to have any of the Humblewood books to pick up the animated spell deck and just add those spells to your ongoing games. Introducing some cool, custom, professionally made thematic spells into your campaigns can make them just extra special. Maybe a Humblewood type NPC brings their spellbook into your campaign and offers to teach your resident wizard some cool spells if they complete some quests for them. Similarly, we have the Heckna spell cards, which we just got our hands on recently. I'm going to try to give you a full rundown on Heckna here very soon on the Gallant Goblin, but for now, feast your eyes on these new spells. These wicked circus spells are absolutely mad. Create an acid cream pie, separate parts of your body and make them independent, send fools flying like a game of pinball, introduce an evil clown mage into your games and give them these spells. Your gaming group is always going to remember that encounter. Or if the idea of a wicked circus tickles your fancy, Heckna is available now. Stay tuned for our review. And those are, I think, all of the animated decks that Hitpoint Press currently has available. I think they're fantastic. If you're looking for a great gift, I think these are an excellent option. If you use our links that are in the corner or down below, they'll know that you came from us, which helps us stay on the air a little bit longer. If you like what we do here and you find our content fun and helpful, picking up some things from our sponsors using our links is the absolute best way to help us out. We are also running our own sale on our Kobold plushies and accessories over at HeroPlush.com. If you're looking for even more stocking stuffers, you can get 20% off your order with the code GOBOGOBLIN. We're also doing live content these days, playing my new favorite social deduction game, Blood on the Clock Tower. You can join us on most Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern to see us gaslight and murder each other until we track down the demon living in our midst. And we feature some incredible creators from D&D and Pathfinder and other games. You can catch us live on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. And you can find us on social media at one of the sites over here. For now, though, stay safe, have fun, love each other, and I will see you next time at the Gallant Goblin.